As far as we know, he's still over there and he's still operating.
And I wouldn't want to scare him. You know, it's not about trying to run him out of the city. If he's going to actually, there has to be some type of, you know,
meeting.
Exactly, between the two, between the citizens as well as any business that operates in East Cleveland should not put the citizens in a position that I feel like the Noble Road and that area over there has to deal with. The things that we're dealing with, especially in the summertime.
Right.
And, you know, there was a protest that, and I don't agree with maybe all the ways in which the residents had reacted, but out of frustration, out of feeling as though no one was hearing their call for help, or at least talking with them. Maybe you did, or what have you, but maybe not to the point that they felt. I think that we need to bring this up. This needs to be a topic for 2016 to get this, because if that's the case, any business can come into the city and go rogue, or because of their business operation, put the citizens in a position that makes them uncomfortable. And frankly, those people on Noble Road, most of them are not going anywhere. That's their home. And so to have something like that kind of infringe upon their right to live comfortably, that's what I want to just make sure of, that we do everything that we can, and not to, you know, brag on him, or, you know, he's trying to operate a business, he's trying to make a living like everyone else, but we want to make it imperative that the citizens deserve to have a voice. You know, what are you going to do with that property, or how long is it going to take? Can you give us some kind of what have you? And I think it's the city's responsibility to follow up and find that out. That's all.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And I have to echo, you're coming out strong, and what you're saying is correct. You're here to represent the citizens of this community. Number two, anytime anyone causes a blight in the city, nor the city can cause a blight, you have that authority. It's under your jurisdiction to make sure that blight is corrected. That is a blight over there. I don't think anyone sitting in here want that kind of mess dumped in their house. And secondly, when you raise houses, a lot of these contractors are raising these houses and not meeting the EPA. Because there was some raised and the EPA just happened to be passing by and stopped them and asked them that had they had removed the asbestos. Anytime that you disturb asbestos, it go airborne. And then bringing it in there, no one knows what they are bringing in there, what kind of, whether it's asbestos or other things that are causing our children, just like going on in Flint, Michigan. So when with the water situation, but when there is no one, and then if the city sits here and say, well, what can we do? You have the authority. You authorize him to do whatever he's doing over there, dumping. If you guys authorize him to dump over there or whatever, you are contributing to the blight, and you have the authority to make him clean up the blight. So that's under the auspices of the city. You don't expect some other city come in here and do the job that you have the authority and the power to do. It is under the auspices of the city. You can not allow people. You want business in here, you're going to come in here, you're going to follow the norms that has been set up for you to follow in our city. If you deviate from those norms, then you are in violation of the contract, and that's why I asked you to get the contract and see just what was negotiated and what was that place was going to be utilized for. But if you utilize being a dump, anyone got the ounce of intelligence know that you don't dump in your own backyard and in people's backyard or front yard or whatever the case may be. That is called the blight. It's unsightly. Driving down Euclid Avenue, as you just indicated, you can see all that mess because it is up like this now.
3 stories.
It does not matter whether he has hired some people in here, maybe to close their mouths, keep them from complaining or whatever. So I'm gonna hire you. So a red flag goes up when I hear stuff like that going on. And then, well, he's a good, he can't be a good business in our city, and he's causing problems with the neighbors in whom you represent in your ward. So you have a right to come out strong, and I appreciate what you're coming out strong on this matter, looking into it. So it should have been looked into, and whomever authorized that, for him to do that kind of stuff, they need to be checked as well. As Marty say, I have spoken, and I hope that you heard me, and I said it loud and clear.
Because that's not how he says that.
I have something to say.
You help him out, Nate.
I'm surprised at you. But,
Well, the thing is that one thing I do want to say is that I don't know if anyone's noticed, I deliver mail, obviously, so I walk past a lot of streets in my ward, and East Cleveland has become an overall dump. Okay, so I don't know who's coming in from wherever, dumping tires. I've contacted the city, especially about 133rd in Gainesboro. It seems like a daily thing. I walk down the street, the city, you know, and our resources are limited. We're waiting on the park for a backhoe so we can get some of this stuff out. But if we have a 2-story dump, what does that say to people that come in and say, oh, well, they're dumping anyway? I mean, that's the perception I believe is going on. That's why every other day you see, you know, bed frames and mattresses, you know. One Monday it's in this driveway, it's cleaned up, and now the city workers, which we're already, our resources are limited, and this is something that I think we need to, so somehow or another we're going to have to be able to, if he's going to be our neighbor, like you say, and he has 60 months, and it's not actually completed yet, there has to be some way in which, if we can't do anything about the dump leaving, because I've been told it was grandfathered in under this contract, and I realize it's a legal document, so we're bound to it. But there may be other things that we can utilize him for as far as the overall dumping in the city. That may be something else to look into. But I do think that we need to speak with him and have a representative from the administration to explain the contract, and I think that's a good start for that.
Councilman, there is absolutely no push to put him under any sanctions, and has not been from the administration since we've been dealing with this. And also to point out, the contract itself was very deceptive when it was introduced. Again, as the councilwoman stated, that money for the purchase of that property was to be up front for, you know, and how it was sold to us, correct me if I'm wrong, to my former colleagues, the $125,000 was to help us with payroll, as the chief of staff at the time stated, and it was misleading for me, because I said, hey, I'm not really concerned as much as about the payroll, but I'm concerned about what it is that he's going to be doing, and it was kind of very vague, and it was not in detail. And so when we get to this point, and we look at what is going on over there, we ask for safety measures. And we asked for safety measures in front of him, in front of everybody else, had made calls to him. The silk fence is not up. That was stated that would be up before the summer went down. Whatever that fence was, however which length.
The green fence
Yeah.
that he has now?
It was supposed to be up in the summertime.
Okay.
Before we even got to, you know, well into the fall. And then there was discussion about, you know, the hoop houses. You know, they were going to probably put a dome over it, or start to construct domes and back the stuff into it.
Okay.
And then we asked, what would be the time frame? I know you have 2 years, but what would be the time frame for you to expedite some of the removal of this stuff and go into a landfill that you may potentially own in Detroit, Michigan? That question and conversation has also been overlooked. Again, and being a good neighbor.
So let me ask you, so that question did come up to him. Is
that question of the extrication of the debris, what is that type of time frame, and how does that look for the city. And again,
But that was never ever, excuse me, that was never ever brought up at the time that the contract was passed by council, correct?
no, because it did not appear that all of the structures would be demolished. That was not stated in that meeting in the conference room. And even the contract itself says certain structures. So if you look at how the GE building was, it was a huge structure. You could have you could have taken out the whole rear of the building and refaced it and put a ramp and everything else for the trucks to drive in and dump inside and kept the stuff inside and put some ventilation. I would have been fine with that, but it was not stated. The only thing still existing from the old GE site is that firewall that's along the rear of that car wash. And that's on Euclid Avenue. There is one solid wall that you can see. It's only probably about 8 foot tall. It's only one firewall still standing. And the flooring from the old GE building. Because that can't be disrupted. Now, he was very smart with that. That flooring, just like on 152nd down there where those containers are, that flooring, the reason why nobody can build on that and they can just use it for parking because it's so much contaminant inside of the soil and inside of the ground. So just like that factory, you have to think about factories, period. When the stuff drips off of those machines, it goes into the ground, or it's in that concrete. So you disrupt it, you got a whole nother bill you have to worry about. So he was very smart in not disrupting that ground, because that's a whole nother conversation. So, I would ask this council to set some parameters on people when we're allowing them to come into the city. And let's not just think about who he's a good guy and this, that, and the third. Everybody looking to make their buck nowadays.
And he making a bid.
And I would say that he made enough off of the demolishing of the metals, and I explained to the council